was curious about with the enemy and how close you got to them without him knowing you were there. How did you get into that position, and how did you get out?
Well, I was never put into that situation where I could see them and they couldn't see me. The closest I ever been to was when we was being shot at by the bad guys when we were on that mission getting ready to cross that river. And that's when I was shooting up the flank. I could see them, and they were shooting at us, and I repelled them back, and that's the closest I ever been to it.
God almighty.
But I've never been anywhere where I was sneaking around and saw them where they couldn't see me. No, I was never in that position. You got to remember, this is toward the end of Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
It was winding down. We took our berets off. They made us wear black baseball caps and said the unit went home, but we stayed there under a different name, so to speak. It was no longer Command and Control Central. It was Task Force 2 Advisory Element.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we were labeled, advisors, you know. So anyway, I didn't go on that many missions.
I mean, but the mission
compared to the guys that's been there on their third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh tour.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. I mean, but what I'll try and get people to realize is that the years changed quite a lot, and by 70, there's Mr. Lowell Stevens. By 70, 71, and 72, when everything's closing up and full Vietnamization is taking place, the NVA has completely infiltrated all of Laos, all of Cambodia. They've already got well over 10 to 25,000 men in South Vietnam at this point.
Oh yeah.
So you've got to imagine they're in Kon by themselves with maybe a hatchet force down the road. I think the Mike force has already left. So they don't have to go far like in the 60s and to start hitting trouble. I mean, they could go on local patrols and end up getting into a death-defying firefight that somebody could earn the Medal of Honor on. So I'm trying to get people to realize y'all were up a totally different playing field from what the guys we've talked to earlier on from the 60s through. Just totally different.
You know, take somebody like Walter Shoemate. He was there at CCC. That guy was on his 7th tour. He had so much experience. I think he wrote the book.
I've got a photo of him I'll try and bring up. You just mentioned Lowell
Stevens. He had the famous mustache.
Oh God, yes. And as a matter of fact, it's still hanging up in you can't say can't say the name on YouTube or they'll demonetize you, but he's not in that photo. That's Lowell Stevens. Yeah. That's Lowell Stevens there, and Larry White, and I can't remember that guy's name. That is Les Emmett Dover.
Yeah.
The wild man of RT Hawaii.
Yeah, I remember Dover now.
And there's Plaster getting his famous Silver Pistol Award from Colonel Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
There's his. It seems like there for a while, everybody tried to at least work on a mustache for a little bit. And I'm about to dig up that Walt Shoemate photo. He's quite the man. Did you have any contact with Mr. Walt while you were at CCC?
Well, you know, everybody knew him, and we all, at one time or another, sat in a bar and had a few drinks, you know. And he was quite a character. I remember him back at Bragg, and then he went down to did something with Scuba School. I think he became the sergeant major down there or something.
He found the Scuba School. He literally found the land and founded it.
Right, but that's Walt Shoemate right there. I don't know, but he had something to do with it after.
He was the first. He was the first. Whatever you just said. He ran the dive school. Was the first.
Yeah, they named the tower after him or something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Walt Shoemate.
Well, see, I went through dive school in 1972. A few months after I came back from Vietnam, I went down there and graduated in August. There was a class of 21. I think 7 of us graduated. And it was we had the old Emerson rig. It was the canvas bag with the rebreathing stuff. We had to mix our own chemicals in it, that kind of stuff. It was old technology.
People, I mean, I can only imagine how bad it was back then. But I've spoken to Force Recon guys. Here's a great photos that went to it and all that. And saying the SF Combat Dive School in Key West is one of the hardest schools they've ever been to, and just other SOG men or other SF men saying that as well, that it is so hard. There's Larry, and there's of course Mr. John right there in the country club, the Covey Country Club.
Yep.
Two of the best to do it. Somebody was saying that they think Mr. Larry White was probably the coolest cucumber when it came to being a Covey rider, that he could calm you down and really talk you out of it and really get your bacon out of the fire, so to speak. Weapon question here, since you mentioned about your 1911 and Mr. Mike carried his as well. How he was asking, did you carry yours on your chest like Mr. Mike did, which is on the cover of this book here? But how did you carry your pistol, or where, shall I say, did you carry it? It
was just inside the. I had a suit made with a zipper. It was inside the zipper. I had a pocket that could hold it with a leather case sewed to the inside.
Oh, that's slick as can be. Did y'all get this made? I know y'all had a lady that sewed for y'all and everything. Is that who did all your sewing for you?
Well, there were several ladies. We had a sewing shop inside the compound.
Okay.
And they did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing the work that those gals or men or whoever was doing the sewing did, because I've seen some of the alterations, and guys, go buy Jason's books. In Jason's books, to where they're putting new pockets on either on your chest or making y'all complete flight suits for missions. I mean, just great stuff.
Right. Is Jason's book on Amazon?
No, I will give you the website. It's called The Dog Tag.
Yeah, send me the website so I can buy those books. My grandson keeps telling me about them.
I've got all 15, and I dare not even say how much I've spent on getting all of those, but you're in quite a few of the pictures, and it's a great breakdown of the history if he's wanting to know about the histories and everything. So I'll get that to you whenever we get it done for the day here. And we are going to get into some prior service. If this question goes into that, you can go ahead and mention some of it now. But what would Alex would like to know? What was your proudest moment in your time in service? That's going to be a tough one.
Well, I was pretty proud of my entire career.
Yeah,
of course, I'm not a legend or by any means close to that. I was just a solid SF guy that did my job, and I always wanted to be a team sergeant. I thought that was probably the most prestigious job on an A team, was to be the team sergeant. So I wound up being a team sergeant a couple of times. I was the E7 team sergeant on a Scuba team in A35. And I also wound up being in first of the first. I had ODA 125 as a team sergeant. Okay. And then after that, my aspiration was to be a B team sergeant major, and I did that in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I'd say the B team sergeant major's job was my proudest moment.
Wow. Where were you located?
Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I got promoted in the academy, and wasn't long after that, Desert Shield, Desert Storm cranked up, and I wound up being a B team sergeant major over there in Desert Shield and Desert Storm with a brand new SF unit. Wow. We had to rebuild the unit just prior to going over there because 3rd Battalion and 5th remained at Fort Bragg and became the nucleus of reactivating 3rd Group. And then we had a shell unit on Fort Campbell, and we had to crank it up from scratch. So we were getting brand new guys out of training group being assigned to the teams. Some guys that were with experience showed up, and they were put in different places as team sergeants and whatever in all 3 companies. Anyway, I had B company. Larry Martin had a company, and then I can't remember the guy from Charlie company that started out, but a guy named Buckman took it over that May '89. But we were all there in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Galen Musselman was in 1st of the 1st as a team sergeant after we left Vietnam. But when I got sent 5th Group at Fort Campbell, shortly after that, we were in Desert Storm.
Jeez Louise. And speaking of motor pool muscleman, as they called him in SOG, I think, yep, there's a Mr. Photo of Jimmy Shorten sent me.
That's him.
And a small guy. I didn't realize how short he was. He was a very small guy.
He was short, but he was very stocky.
Oh,
very strong. He was very strong. I mean, I don't care what pictures you show of this guy. He was a brute.
Oh no, I've got a photo of an award ceremonies where his uniform is rolled up to his forearms, and I think that's as far as it could go. And all you see is just vein. I mean, he's built like a proverbial brick S house. I mean, he is a stud. I mean,
yeah, he was.
I'm definitely not saying anything. He was actually the perfect size to be running SOG recon. Short, dumpy, powerful
guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see here. So we'll continue on with the stories, and if some of these questions don't get answered, we'll cover some later on. As I said offline, they were curious about your family service, if any. Jason was wondering, did you have previous family service, father, uncle, grandfather?
All my uncles and my father and all the uncles on my daddy's side, they served in World War II. And on my mother's side, all of her brothers served in World War II. And